I've been a fan of yours for a very long time. It is great to talk to you. I would imagine that no matter where you go, people want to come up to you and talk to you because it's you. What do you find that people always want to ask you about? Is there like one particular role, or does it depend where you are?
It's funny. First of all, and this is really interesting just about people in general, they usually don't ask a question, they'll tell you something, and which is very funny, right? Because I can't imagine that I'm any different. But first of all, people have been incredibly kind to me over the years, and really supportive. And I've had, my life has gone up and down, my career has gone up and down. But people have been really cool with me, and I'm grateful for that. And I would have to say probably more than not, someone will tell me, and it doesn't matter their age, but they'll tell me that they had a relationship with Lost Boys that was really special. And so if it's an older person, they'll tell me that they saw it when I was my age when we made it. Like they saw it for the first time when they were like 18, 19 years old. And for the younger people, they'll tell me that their dad or their granddad showed it to them. And it's very sweet that kind of film, for whatever reason, I couldn't explain it to you, but the fact that people are handing it down from generation to generation speaks volumes to me. And I was just so proud to be a part of it for that reason alone, that it meant that to those people.
Jumping into why I get to talk to you. I'm imagining that you get offered scripts. What was it about this material that said, oh, I need to do this?
Well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of John and Glenn, and just not as writers and directors separately and then ultimately together. They said, well, we've got this idea, and it was a really loose kind of conversation, and we were going to kind of harken back to these thrillers from the 70s, like 3 Days of the Condor and, The Parallax View and Marathon Man. And now these are all the films that I grew up on and that I have such fond memories of, and that when I started my career, I really wanted to get to do those films, those kinds of movies that I watched. And then they got to describing the character. And the thing about the character that caught me out of the gate that I found really interesting and thought, okay, I know where to start, was that this guy was, is a predator on some level. He was the hunter. He was the one who was setting up other companies and using misinformation to kind of make them believe something else was happening. And he took that and turned it into a profit for the company that had hired him. And then within minutes, just like he was working a scam on someone else, someone got him. And he goes literally, in the first episode, 180 degrees and goes from, hunter to hunted and goes from strong to vulnerable. And anytime you get to watch a character kind of make that kind of an about-face turn and you see them emotionally invulnerable and weak, there's an identifiable quality to that I just think is interesting to watch, and I think very identifiable. I can't tell you that I've gotten through a single day in my life that I haven't done that whole 180-degree turn, literally I'll get out of my car and I feel really confident going into the grocery market, and then something happens in aisle 6 and I'm like, oh, I don't feel as confident anymore. And of course it's on a much smaller level. But I think it's happening to us all the time. And I think when they wrote something and laid it out kind of that precisely, I was like, yeah, I know how to start here and get to this other part. And then I think that we'll have a character that people are going to identify with and then ultimately root for. Because, he doesn't start off clean. He's doing some bad stuff too. And yet, once it turned on him, I really felt for him, and then I also felt that just over the course of the season that he was learning stuff about himself too that would become very relatable as well.
One of the things I was wondering as I was watching the show, or I actually want to ask you this, it's about I feel like stuff being depicted on the show could absolutely be happening in real life.
Yeah.
So do you think what you're showing on the show is being done by corporations and people the way it's being depicted on the show?
I would think probably on a much more sophisticated level, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think we run a scam on a guy that's pretty pedantic and actually almost comical because of what we do. And I don't want to ruin what the scam is, but I think on a much more sophisticated level, yes. I think companies are doing it to other companies. I think countries are doing it to other countries. Look, it took us decades to adapt to the Industrial Revolution. And I think we still are. And it's going to take us decades to adapt to the ramifications and realities of the technological revolution that we're still in the middle of. And so, I guarantee you when I see on CNN, this profile about AI voice matching, and that with a computer and a few words of Leonardo DiCaprio's voice, I can make a whole script and it'll sound like him. Well, if I'm seeing that on CNN, I promise you I'm the last guy to know. and that technology has been around for a while. And it's been used. And I think sometimes fun for a joke, and I think probably sometimes not so fun.
Yeah, I just think about what it's going to be in 5 and 10 years, which is really scary.
Well, yeah, and it is scary, but I do have faith. I actually might be one of the last people that has faith in people. And I think that, we'll bump into some things and we'll go, okay, we're going to have to work on that. And we're going to have to, and I think we as a society have to just kind of try our hardest to do the better and the good thing. It doesn't mean that that's going to be easy and smooth sailing and that it's not going to require a fight. But yeah, it's a very tricky world to navigate right now, and I think our show, for better and for worse, kind of represents that.
I'm just one of the things I've seen 4 of the 8 episodes, and one of the things that as I was watching it, and the audience they're always on their toes because they're not sure who is on what side. It keeps there's you're and what was it like for you? Did they tell you the whole arc of everything before you started filming, or how much were you reading it script by script and actually wondering, I don't know if this character is going to be on my side or not?
I got 4 up front. We talked in loose terms about the overall arc because I think, and this is something that I really did experience on 24. Howard Gordon on 24 we would get together, go out for a couple beers, and he'd lay out kind of his idea for the whole season, and we talk, and he'd add a couple things, and what if we tried this, but we'd walk away from that dinner thinking we had the beginning, the middle, and the end, right? And I can almost say to a T, every year, that end note was about episode 14. and it would change, right? And it would change based on what we were actually doing. So it was fluid and exciting because, certain scenes you would do and you go, that's good. We gotta lean into that. We gotta write more towards, this conflict or that situation. And so I wanted that same freedom for John and Glenn to have on this, and they took it. And so the last couple episodes were like, there was stuff that I wasn't expecting, and I had to adapt to, and that's what makes it exciting.
On that note, I need to wrap. I'm just going to say congrats. I'm looking forward to seeing 5 through 8.